Visual literacy. The ability to read the world of appearances. Aesthetics. The branch of philosophy that deals with the nature, beauty and meaning of art and a response to it. Patron. A sponsor or benefactor, the person paying for the work of art. Representational art. Any work of art that seeks to resemble forms in the natural world, naturalistic art. Non-representational art. Art that makes no reference to the natural world. Abstract. An art object that is simplified, distorted or exaggerated to provide essence or universality. An art object that is no longer recognizable as an object from the natural world. Stylized. Representational art that conforms to a predetermined set of conventions for depicting the world. Style. Characteristics that are recognized as constant or reoccurring. Form. The way a work looks, including the materials used, style, composition, or the organization of lines, shapes, color, and other visual qualities within a work. Content. What the work says, including subject matter, message, iconography. Context. The set of circumstances surrounding a work of art. Iconography. The study of visual images and symbols within their historical context. The full story, including symbols or references, people, and events, requires knowledge of a specific time, beliefs, or culture. Line. Define shapes, indicate direction, indicate movement and energy, and define boundaries and edges. Implied lines are lines that are visually completed by the viewer. Shape. A two-dimensional area with an identifiable boundary. Mass. A three-dimensional area having bulk, density, or weight. Shapes and masses can be geometric or organic. Geometric shapes, masses. Approximate shapes in volumes of geometry. Organic shapes, masses. Irregular shapes and volumes. Value. Shades of light and dark, usually considered in terms of a scale ranging from white to black with a number of degrees in between. Modeling. In two-dimensional works, the use of value to suggest light and shadow to create the effects of mass and weight. Chiaroscuro. In drawing and painting, the use of light and shadow to create the effect of three-dimensional modeled surfaces. Color theory. A circular arrangement of colors used to understand color theory or the relationships between the colors. This color wheel uses the colors refracted by Sir Isaac Newton's prism: red, yellow, orange, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Palette. A palette is a name for the wooden board on which artists put their paint, but it also refers to the range of colors they pick for their artwork. Monochromatic. Variations of the same hue. Complementary. Directly opposite on the color wheel and tend to accentuate each other when placed next to each other. Picture plane. The literal surface of a painting imagined as a window. Text. Texture. The surface quality or feel of an object, its smoothness, roughness, or softness. Textures may be actual or implied. Impasto. From the Italian for paste, a thick application of paint which creates a texture on the surface of a painting. Motion. Implied motion, actual motion, kinetic art. Kinetic art. Actual motion, art that moves. Linear perspective. Based on the observation that parallel lines appear to converge as they recede from the viewer, finally meeting at a vanishing point on the horizon. Linear perspective relies on a fixed perspective. Foreshortening. In two-dimensional representations, creating a sense of space by enlarging areas of an object that are close to the viewer and shrinking the parts that are farther away. Atmospheric perspective. Based on the observation that distant objects appear less distinct, paler and bluer than nearby objects because of the way moisture in the intervening atmosphere scatters light. Overlapping. The illusion of depth in two-dimensional space is created by positioning. Foreground, middle ground, background. Isometric perspective. Uses diagonal lines to convey recession, but the lines do not converge to a vanishing point. It is principally used in Asian art, which is not based on a fixed viewpoint. Composition. The organization of lines, shapes, colors, and other elements in a work of art. The broader term is design. Unity. The sense of oneness of things belonging together and making up a coherent whole. Variety. Differences that provide interest and contrast. Balance. An aesthetically pleasing integration of the visual elements. Symmetrical balance. The near or exact image of shapes/forms on either side of an imaginary axial dividing line. Elements correspond to one another in size, shape, and placement. Radial balance. A circular composition in which everything radiates outward from a central point. Approximate balance. Slight differences between the axial areas of a work. Asymmetrical balance. Two sides that do not correspond to one another in size, shape, and placement, but visual weight creates an illusion of balance. Emphasis. The viewer's attention will be centered more on certain parts of the composition than on others. Subordination. A less visually interesting area. Focal point. A specific spot to which one's attention is directed. Hierarchical scale. The use of scale to indicate relative importance. Visual rhythm. Depends on the repetition of accented elements, usually shapes. Myelin. Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Vincent van Gogh. Starry Night, oil on canvas. Francisco de Goya. Saturn devouring one of his children. Konstantin Brancusi. Bird in Space. Vasily Kandinsky. Black Lines No. 189. Jan van Eyck. Arnolfini double portrait. Edward Hopper. Rooms by the Sea. Emmy Whitehorse. Chanter. Edvard Munch. The Scream. Leonardo da Vinci. Last Supper. Alexander Calder. Southern Cross. Joseph Cornell. The Hotel Eden. Frida Kahlo. The Two Fridas. Henry Ossawa Tanner. The Banjo Lesson. Paul Klee. Len